Hey guys, Rinji here, and there has been Twitter troubles once again. Of what kind? Well, of the Super Smash Brothers kind. In case some of you don't know, the Super Smash Brothers community, especially in the last few years, didn't have the best of reputations with a lot of allegations of sexual predators being up and about, especially those that prey on children. And there was like a few years or even months where these allegations like happened from like week to week, and like a whole cabal of these people have been revealed. And it seems that it happened again, but there's more to this story. So let's take a look what happened this time around. Trigger warning: pornography and children. Been sitting on the fence but publicly addressing this for some time. I'm making this one and only statement. I really hope the Smash community starts to take stuff like this seriously. And here's Zoe, a person that's been relaying their experiences with one particular Super Smash Bros. Players. And let's take a look at the statement. Trigger warning: pornography P word slash minors. On November 7th slash 28th of 2022, I experienced one of the most traumatizing situations in my life to date. As many of you know, Nico at Nico SBBU and I were together for some time, but this day changed the entire dynamic of our relationship. He was sitting across the room from me on his laptop doing schoolwork for his quiz coming up when I asked if I could use his phone to grab pictures of us put on Instagram. He proceeded to hand me his phone and went along my search for cute pictures of us. Only I was met with thousands, 3K plus, of screenshots of various types of pornography, most of them being very taboo and uncomfortable, like people pretending to be children and such. This immediately made me say something and start questioning him on what I was finding and why he had it. As a quotation marks adult, he has the right to watch these kinds of videos, but then the contents, about 70%, were generally disgusting and surprising. As his partner, it was shocking to find these kinds of images and the volume at the volume I did. As I continued to scroll through the sea of shock, I found one image I will never be able to able to remove from my head. A picture of a little girl in a little Halloween costume that couldn't have been any older than 9, in between all the pornography. I immediately went on to question him mainly about this because I was beyond disgusted at this point. He proceeded to admit that he downloaded the picture with the intent to embait to it, but then proceeded to say he didn't do it, which he states again he didn't act on it in the text below. I did not. I did not and do not know if I believe him when he says he did not act on this, as he admitted to lying to me in the whole first half of our relationship. At this point, I was fully engrossed in the worst panic attack I've ever experienced. I left my room and went to the living room where I had cried hysterically and hyperventilated for about 90 minutes. I didn't know what to believe anymore. I was absolutely lost and felt like I had no clue who he was, and I still don't. I had made a promise to me he would get help and see a therapist about this because it's no way, shape, or form normal, and he agreed to go, but never did. I, for some reason, made the decision to stay with him and try to help him heal and grow past this part of his life, but I genuinely created deep-rooted subconscious fear, shame, and resentment towards him. I was unable to look at him the same and sought out my own therapy to help me understand what was happening and why. This situation caused so many problems for me internally, especially when it came to communication and trust. And around this time, there were no clear shift in the way we interacted with each other and others. And immediately, this pushed me into the very dark place and was not most kind girlfriend I could have been. I should have left and generally did not know why I stayed. Of days I just cried. I'd been thinking about if we had children together, I wouldn't feel safe leaving him alone with them. And it was the fact that he promised me he would get help, or the fact I was scared to be alone at that point, or that I felt wrong speaking out and outing his porn addiction. Obviously, a statement as serious as this needs proof, and unfortunately, the only thing I have is the text conversation we had. We had about it the next day, where we touched on all topics mentioned above. Out of respect for all parties involved, most screenshots will only be shared with the HSU panel. I feel immense shame and disgust with myself for sitting on this information and not sharing it sooner, but generally did not know how to form the words, and I'm not sure if I even do now. I'm not sharing this to hurt anyone, but rather to help me heal from this genuine trauma that Nat gave me. It's affected so many people of my at so many aspects of my life that I couldn't even begin to grasp until we had broken up and I started therapy. I will try and answer any question you all have in a timely manner, but I also would respect if I wasn't bombarded immediately, as I need time to process even sharing this. I am coming forward to share my truth in it's genuinely the only way I will be able to grow past it. I've spoken with the mental health professionals, and they have all agreed that this is not something I should push under the rug. It has also deeply affected me while trying to form new relationships and trust with other people. And then they shared the screenshot conversations that we mentioned in the document, which we're also going to be reading here. Nico, that made it okay in my mind at the time. I was just telling you the thought process in the moment, which is actually crazy. I'm not trying to justify it, because you have expressed to me many times that you think it's gross, but then get off to it secretly, which makes me very frustrated because I feel like I can't believe anything. When you so deeply expressed your disgust for it, but genuinely liked it. Same thing with these. In case you don't know, that's male genitals there, censor. Question mark? Sorry I took so long to respond. I was finishing my exam and I had to drive to my parking garage. I think it was a mix of habituation and desensitization. I can say for sure primarily desensitization. Nothing specific in particular was piquing my interest. It was just because things that were extreme because I had watched so much of everything else. I genuinely, honest to God, only had that photo, but then I ended up not acting on it because I was too disgusted. I'd never thought about doing anything like that since. Sorry, I was driving. But then, like the porn of people acting like children that you're watching consistently, and then September that I found tons of. Yes, that was also very bad, but since I knew it was fake and everyone in the video was adults, and then they link an article. She links an article about desensitization to pornography. And then this, would you say it's the habituation or them desensitization, and where children actually catching your attention, or like what was piquing your attention? And did you genuinely only have that one photo, or was there more? And did you seek it out more than one time? Sorry, I just really need all of these things clarified. Would you say it's the secrecy, shame, or was it genuine excitement? It was 100% same shame and taboo. There's a part of the article that states that continued porn use men found themselves watching porn of things that previously used to disgust them. But even then, it says it's just all a variety of novelty and excitement. Yes, I know what it says, and I read the whole thing. And while it previously disgusted them, it didn't anymore. That's why they were watching it. And then, Nico decided to make his own statement while, let's say, he's not beating these allegations anytime soon, as arguably he made the situation worse for himself. So let's take a look at what he had to say. This is my statement in response to the things Zoe at Trying Plus has said. I need to provide the full context of this situation before anything else. In my early teenage years, I had a crippling porn addiction, which kept spiraling into more out there things, but never into anything illegal. This is why I had a bunch of weird pornography on my phone. The photo of a child that I had on my phone, which is for record, was from at least over 4 years ago, and I was myself still a minor, which I don't know how that makes it any better. Was a stock image of Google of a Halloween costume, and the reason that I had it was because it was a post/trend on Twitter for a day where you took the letters in your name, converted it into some series of numbers or some kind of code of numbers or letters, and search up the Halloween costume. That was the costume I found. I've been looking for a way to find the post for hours, and I haven't been able to find it, but there's Anyone there who is proficient technologically or would know of any way to find that post, I ask that they try to, because it will prove that what I'm saying is entirely. I clearly and vividly remember it, and I remember saving that stock photo of Google for that purpose. Now I know that I blatantly admit the multiple screenshots to having the photo for malicious reason, and I will explain this. Before you accuse me of lying, just please keep reading. The night that this event occurred, we had gotten back home from a tournament on November 27, 2022. I was on my laptop trying to study for the exam, and she was going through my phone, so various amounts of legal pornography on my phone, all of which was a result of my teenage porn addiction. After all the scrolling and all of that built up of tension and panic, Zoe came across that stock photo and freaked out, yelling something along the lines of, "What the flip is this? And why the flip do you have this on your phone?" I don't remember exactly, but something like that. I was so confused, and she showed me the photo, and I genuinely had no idea why I had it, as I had completely forgotten about that random Halloween trend from years ago. She asked me if I had the photo for sexual reasons and looked at me extremely tensely, and I got deeply worried and started panicking. I was extremely worried and didn't know what to say. Keep in mind, this was after a while of her already going through everything. My phone was mentally drained and extremely anxious from the whole experience. I genuinely had no idea what the flip I did. I did this, but I was not thinking clearly at all, and was in extreme panic. Since I couldn't remember the reason I had the photo, I succumbed to the pressure and decided to agree with her and just try to damage control the situation. I genuinely did not remember at the time why I had the photos, so instead of saying I don't know or coming up with the reason, I stupidly thought I could fix the situation by lying and saying that I did it have for reasons she said but never acted upon it, which is, I want to clarify, is entirely untrue. So too long didn't read on that one. He pretended to be a pedophile because he was panicking. Yes, the very first thing you do when someone accuses you of something so serious is that you panic so much that you agree with them in order to try to damage control the situation. But let's keep on reading, because this is entirely very silly. I was generally in a terribly irrational mental state, and I somehow thought that lie would work. That would make it's okay if I said that you never acted on it. Our relationship was always a little toxic, and I had a deep history of just taking Zoe's side on things and arguments just so the situation would calm down. I stupidly thought I would work in this situation. It's a little bit of putting the blame on her. God damn. I immediately regretted doing that, and after a couple of days of thinking about the situation, what was the reason why I remembered the real reason I had the photo was for the Halloween trend. I had a history of lying in my relationship with Zoe, and she hardly believed a lot of things that I said. When it came to serious things, we were making good progress at the time of moving on and healing from the event, so I thought that if I told her suddenly remember why I had the photo after falsely admitting admitting the little worst thing ever, she would not believe me, and that would lead to more conflicts or arguments about me lying. Thus, I decided not to tell her and tried to make my best to fix the situation I had gotten myself into. This is why throughout her documents there is evidence, quotation marks, of me admitting to it, when in reality I was going down a terrible lie I had made initially. A history of lying under pressure, and ever since I was a child and did a lot with Zoe. This was without question the single dumbest, most regrettable situation I have ever placed myself in. It was literally entirely my fault. I felt like the dumbest person alive, and I could not fathom how I did this to us in such a panic. There were multiple instances throughout the relationship, and even after we had broken up, I wanted to come clean and say that I lied about that, but I thought that we had made good progress in recovering from a situation. I thought we broke up. It would be better just leave things in the past. Yes, it's the best solution to ending your relationship, making sure your ex remembers that you're that you're a pedophile that doesn't act on his urges. That's a 140 IQ move there. Super Smash Bros. Players, not even once. clearly I was wrong about this. I understand that many people are not going to believe me, and I understand that a lot of people the story may seem too convenient. But I genuinely, on everything I have ever cared about in the world, am telling the truth, and I implore anybody who's capable to help me find the post at a while back of the Halloween trend. I apologize deeply for Zoe for never telling her the truth about what happened and for thinking I could bury this behind us. I do not blame her at all for coming forward with this as if it was my fault that the situation got this far in the first place. She had no idea that I lied about what happened, and I understand I caused her an immense amount of mental damage. I'll be the first to admit I was a terrible partner to her in my first serious relationship. I was a horrible partner, a porn addict, and an avid liar. What I was not is a P word, and I hope that people can at least try to understand how a person can be driven to panic and flip up this hard. No, it's very hard to believe. And the fact that, it seems that you're a habitual liar. So why would one believe anything you have to say at any point in time? Just all of this could be construed then, or just outright lies. Who knows at this point? But let's finish this document. If this is simply too unbelievable, which it is, then I understand. Again, it was just a stock photo of a children's Halloween costume of multiple years ago. I've been clean from my porn addiction for over a year. Thank you all for reading. These people are always so quick to blame everything on porn addiction as if they don't have an agency of their own. I mean, I understand that some people are actually addicted, but if you're at a certain point that you actually realize that you have a problem, then you gonna have to will yourself to try and address it and not act on your urges. But you know, Super Smash Bros. Players not known to make the wisest decisions considering their history. And lastly, here's the photo that they actually had on their Twitter that supposedly relates to that Halloween trend they were talking about. Everyone this is the photo. The original quote retweeted and deleted, but this the post was in response to the Halloween trend of finding a code based on your name and looking up the corresponding costume. And you can see it was in October as well. Yet it was in your very big porn folder. So who knows why the hell you put it up there? Maybe you don't organize your folders, or maybe you put it there for a very specific reason. And then there were some comments about this situation. Being 200% honest with you, man. Didn't break any laws, but something like this is extremely hard to look past. Whether you were 3 to 4 years younger or a compulsive liar, or whatever the case is, I don't think finding that trend will help anything right now. It won't. Considering he saved the picture with all of these jack-off material. The point is not that I was minor too. That wouldn't have made it any more okay. To the point, the point was that I was. It was a while ago, and the intent was never for that purpose. I should have made that clear. Though tough to believe this. I feel like if my girlfriend was suspecting me of being a P word, and I knew I wasn't, I wouldn't make it adamantly clear that I wasn't. Like there would be nothing more important to me than immediately clearing that up. I understand, and I understand that there are people who will never believe me. I had a problem with just agreeing with everything she would say to minimize conflict. I was in extreme panic, and I flipped up severely. I would say convincing the general public is probably a lost cause if this is your best explanation. You're truly innocent. I just focus on trying to convince the people closest to you. Yeah, his reputation as far as the general internet community, if you want to call them that, is probably a lost cause, and there's just no coming back from it. But lastly, you're probably wondering where the hell did I get the screenshot for the thumbnail of this video? Well, Nico a few years ago had a few things to say about Xenoblade 3 because he was kind of projecting a bit, being all anti-porn, anti-Coomer stuff, and he had this to say. Praying to God that Xenoblade 3 isn't weep Coomer bait like 2 is. Praying emoji. Calling it now. In about 2 to 3 years, someone will come forward for more allegations, so there will be massive leak where this dude and possibly others are caught with a minor. It's often the judgmental sex negative types. And a little bit prophetic there, isn't it? And Nico had this to say, this person. You better hope I never see you in person. I do not take getting bundled up with P words lightly. Well, you don't take it lightly, but you'll go out of your way to tie yourself to that quote unquote community of people. So, whether you believe Nico or not, whether he had an extreme panic attack which made him act all irrational squared, because this goes beyond a level of insanity or, stress induced behavior that some people will justify. But again, Nico here, being the smartest Smash Bros. Players there is, decided to go with that sort of explanation. So, you know, I don't want people like that to exist, so I hope he's just a big freaking dummy and he just did it to himself and was just very, very bad at saving pictures to the wrong places and making the dumbest decisions to explain himself possible. Because at least that would just make him a really dumb person and an actual predator that, might have done something to some kids at some point in time. But that's just the history of Smash Bros. Players, and it's probably gonna be happening from here on out, which is unfortunate. But again, with people like Nico here at the wheel, Super Smash Bros. Players will never beat the allegations. But for right now, that's everything. Hope to see you on the next one.